It obviously wasn't the news that you and everyone was hoping for on Jimmy. How have you processed the diagnosis?
Well, most of all, just disappointed for Jimmy. He was having a great year. I felt like the last couple of weeks he was really at the top of his game. So for him, and for us, obviously, but for him individually, in the middle of a really great season with a lot of possibilities, a lot of excitement with the team, the way we're playing. I just feel terrible for him that he's going to miss the rest of the year. It's just part of the game, I know. Injuries are part of it, but it hurts for sure.
How many changes to the rotation? How creative do you need to get without him?
Well, I think we're well equipped with our depth to continue to play at a high level. I like the team. I think the difference from last year to this year to me is Melton and Al Horford. Not to mention Quentin Post for a full year. At this stage last year, before we traded for Jimmy, didn't feel like we had enough to really compete. I think we have enough to compete. I think Al and Melt have given us a different dynamic. I think a lot of our young players, Quentin, Will Richard, those guys are ready to contribute. They have contributed. We've got depth, so we can keep this thing going. Obviously, we'll miss Jimmy, and he's one of the best players in the league. So you can't minimize that, trivialize it, but you play with who you have, and I like who we have.
How did the team sort of react to the news, and have you guys kind of been able to talk about it yet?
We haven't talked about it. Everybody got the news, after we all dispersed last night.
You talked last year when you got him about how much he changed the team, not only structurally but belief level, confidence level. Yeah. You mentioned it. You're still confident in kind of the day-to-day here, but bigger picture, title contention, kind of where y'all are at in your era. How do you just look at what this injury does to kind of y'all's situation at this point of your run?
Well, you just look at it matter-of-factly. We get it. This is part of the NBA, part of sports. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time analyzing where we are in the food chain of the NBA. I'm going to focus on what we can do to win tonight and win the next game. And we have a good vibe going. We have a really good rhythm. We've found, I think, a pattern of connecting the game offensively and defensively. I think we can continue to do those things and win games. And if we do that, we build confidence, we build momentum, and we keep going.
Do you expect Jonathan to be part of the rotation?
He could be. Yeah. He's obviously hasn't played in a while, but at this point we have to experiment a little bit with rotations, see where we are. And he's definitely, a part of that talk, that conversation.
Steve, to that point, you've talked to him. Do you think he wants to be part of the rotation?
Yeah.
So you think he wants to play for you guys still right now?
I do.
Steve, in a situation like this, is it better to get back on the court the next night than to have a couple days to kind of sit on it, I guess, with the Jimmy situation?
Yeah, I don't think there's any way to spin it into a positive. It is what it is. The thing with the NBA, there's always a game the next night. And so you have to move on quickly no matter what it is, whether it's a losing streak or, an injury, a loss, on a personal level like Jimmy's, the loss of his season. It's we all feel for him and feel for our team. But we have to move forward. That's the nature of the sport.
Going back last postseason, follow up on Jonathan. He was out of the rotation, comes back and plays against Minnesota and is productive. Is there anything you can take away from that may apply to his current situation if he is back in the rotation?
From
last year, Minnesota, he was out of the rotation.
Not really. We that was pretty different because Steph was out, and every every set of circumstances is different, but he's been here over 4 years, so we're comfortable with what he can do and how he might fit in.
What are the biggest things that you're going to need to, as best you can, replace with Jimmy out for the year?
Well, we're not going to get to the foul line nearly as often, and that's a big loss. I mean, the way that gets us easy points and sets up our defense. So given that we're going to miss a lot of trips to the line, we've got to make sure we're pushing the ball in transition. We've got to get some easy hoops, some buckets off of our defense. You figure Jimmy, I'm guessing he goes to the line 8 times a game. I'm not sure we can replace more than a couple of those, depending on who we put out there. It's just not apples to apples. So assuming we're going to get 5 or 6 fewer free throws a game, we got to find some easy points, force some turnovers, get out in transition, and make sure we're doing what we've done the last couple of weeks, which is taking care of the ball.
Steve, for more than a month now, you've had a pretty consistent starting lineup when at full strength. With Jimmy out, do you want to continue to have a consistent starting lineup, or is it a little bit of trial and error, kind of figuring out how to?
Yeah, I think there could be some trial and error because Jimmy's absence creates a domino effect on the rest of the lineup. It's not as easy as just replace him with one guy and then it works the same way. I mean, every player affects the next one, and so we'll start obviously differently tonight, and then we'll see how it goes, and we'll keep going. And no, I'm not going to tell you who we're going to start.
Just keep going with that one. Specifically, when we know Butler is great with a starting lineup, but he is that initiator with a second group when Steph is out. I know you probably can't know who would do that, or you just don't want to put it all on one person, but is Melton the most likely person to be that kind of initiator on the second?
Yeah, when Steph is out, that's probably the biggest thing that we have to adapt to now with Jimmy's absence. So in the non-Steph minutes, of which there are generally 16, I would expect Melt and Brandon both to be on the floor so that they can both handle and create, and we'll need shooters on the floor. So that's a time when Al, Quentin Post, Moses, Will Richard, Buddy, we'll want our shooters on the floor, around Melt and BP for sure, just to open things up and make sure we can score.